Can we get my sound up?
So I'm coming to school, walking in the halls, and everybody looking at me.
People were stalking his profile. On Facebook, the term is creeping.
She was sexting with him, and he sent out all the pictures and all the text messages to like all of his friends.
That's Jaden?
Am I the man or what?
Just gonna sing. You know, with the technological age, no matter who kids are, no matter what their socioeconomic background is, they have access to cell phones and to computers. And because of that, that's how they communicate with each other.
So, somebody made a Facebook burn page about Jamie and Brittany. What page?
I didn't do anything.
You didn't make it?
Yeah.
Then why aren't people coming up to me telling me that you made it?
It can go as simple as two girls, you know, going at it, to gang affiliation and threats back and forth. And we just lost a student on Friday night. He was gunned down.
The boys were threatening my little brother, telling him what they was gonna do when they get back to school, who was all gonna jump on him, when, like through the IM messaging and putting it on their status.
Receiving threats that someone's gonna, you know, hurt you, and someone knows your schedule. They would come to me and say, oh, you know, I have you for lunch. One day soon I'm gonna really hurt you.
We got a lot of laughs out of it during class period, and I'm starting to consider, well, maybe this is actually affecting me.
One of the things that, one of the things that's powerful about the new set of curriculum resource materials that are coming forward is that they're really redefining this idea of what competencies we need. And these days, I'm talking with teachers about these 4 clusters of competencies. Remember how I started my presentation? It was about choice. We have to help students make better choices. So learning to access and use and make choices has to be a priority. Instead of us making all the choices, we have to help students make skillful choices. Because you know how I learn best? By making mistakes. When I make a bad choice, and I get a chance to think about why it was a bad choice and why it was ineffective and why it didn't work, then I really learn. So we need to give our students opportunities to make choices and then to discover the consequences of those choices, whether that comes to choosing a website to read, choosing a book in the library, choosing a newspaper article, choosing a TV show or movie to review. Giving students choices prepares them for living in a world where they will have more choices than ever, but need to learn how to make skillful, wise choices. How will they learn to make choices if we make all the choices for them? So this part of media literacy is huge. Now, I haven't had a chance to talk at all about this part of media literacy, the opportunity that students have to create and collaborate. Instead, I focused on this that's comfortable for us, helping students analyze and evaluate messages using critical questions, because we teachers are good at that. We're good at helping our students to think critically by asking questions. And that's a place of strength for us, so we should start with our strengths. For most of us, it's uncomfortable to talk about the ethical decisions that face us in being responsible communicators. And we're just beginning to explore how to do that well when talking about social media and digital media and Twitter and sexting and texting and all the complexities of growing up with this digital media. But I want to end by talking about the enormous creativity of children and young people, because that's what excites me most about this work. Let me show you a short video from a group of third graders. I know you will not even believe that these third graders could do something so simple and elegant and so powerful, but they did. They made a public service announcement, and I'm just going to see if I can find it right here, so we can end the program with the idea of kid creativity. So where is it? It's called Unlitter Us. Working together, a group of children used a video camera, poetry writing, and performance to communicate to their family members about why it was important to not litter. Watch the creativity at work as these children made this very simple video with the help of their teachers.
We need a big help or our city will yell. This is our home. It can't be alone. It doesn't matter. Our memories are shared. If we don't take a stand, there will be no litter. Come on, let's finish it. Don't you want this land to win? If we don't litter, our city will glitter. If we're not mean, our city will be clean. And it will seem to gleam like a perfect dream. Keep Philadelphia clean. Unlitter us.
Every child who participated in making this video learned something really important. Even though the video only lasted 30 seconds, it took a lot of time and planning to create. It took teamwork, it took collaboration, it took writing, it took editing, it took imagination, it took problem solving. And when children start thinking of themselves as authors, there are enormous reasons for us to feel optimistic and hopeful about the future. After all, that's the only reason I'm interested in digital literacy, because I believe that it's possible to unleash the creativity and imagination of our young people, to encourage them to be lifelong citizens and creators and contributors to a democratic society. Thank you very much.
Çok teşekkürler deyip hemen sorularınızı alalım ama sizden ricam hani saatte giderek geç olacak, sorularınızı mümkün olduğu kadar veya hani çok kısa görüş de vermek, yorum yapmak isterseniz kısa tutarsanız çok sevinirim. We'll take some questions.
Oh, we bring the microphone back. Thank you.
Çalıştığım bazı okullarda öğretmenlerin, öğrencilerin Twitter... Melek Mumcuoğlu, felsefe öğretmeniyim. Çalıştığım bazı okullarda öğretmenlerin, öğrencilerin Twitter ya da Facebook gibi sosyal medyaya dahil etmeleri yasaktı. Hatta kendi kişisel böyle şeyleri olmaları da yasaktı. Bu konuda ne düşünüyorsunuz ve nasıl etkili kullanabiliriz bunu? Yani ben de açıkçası bütün yani mahremiyetlerini orada sergilemeleri bazen hiç hoşuma gitmiyor ama bazı öğrencilerimi dahil ettim. Ama ne şekilde kullanılabilir etkili merak ediyorum.
This is such a great question, and different communities will answer this differently. Should teachers be able to friend their students on Facebook? For teachers to make wise judgments about this, a teacher needs to be a reflective practitioner. And sometimes teachers, well, we are human, aren't we? And we like to be loved by our students, don't we? And we want to be popular, don't we? So when we friend our students because it makes us feel so important, this is not a good reason. Not a good reason at all. Some teachers engage in social media with their students for their own pleasure. That's not the point. As you described, the opportunity is to deepen the quality of the teacher-student relationship, right? The opportunity for students to be their whole selves and for you to be a mentor and guide. And I think when teachers acknowledge and own that responsibility and embrace that in a self-reflective way, they can be effective. But one of the reasons why policies exist to limit teachers' ability to use social media with their students is that some teachers do engage in inappropriate behavior, do use social media simply for their own satisfaction and not for the benefit of their students. So I think it's important for teachers to be reflective and thoughtful and to engage in dialogue. In the best school districts in the US, the decision about whether to permit social media comes at a faculty meeting after a conversation among the faculty themselves. So through discussion and dialogue, I believe teachers know what's best. What other questions do you have?
Dijital medyanın öğrenciler tarafından bir yaş grubu var. Biz burada ilkokul ve ortaokul öğrencilerini genelde konuştuk. Buna benzeyen bir yıl önce aldığım bir eğitimde çocukları bunların kötülüklerinden nasıl koruyabiliriz ile ilgiliydi. Gerek öğretmenleri gerekse de ailelerin bilinçlendirildiği bir konferanstı. Yine bir profesör sunumundaydı. Orada aldığım mesaj şuydu. Alabildiğince serbest bırakmamak ve sizin denetiminizde, gözetiminizde, ekranların en azından sizin gözetiminizde ve denetiminizde olması gerektiğiydi. Çünkü burada o yaş grubunun her şeyin doğrusunu göremeyeceğini, aynı zamanda da burada çok iyi niyetli olmalar olduğu gibi çok kötü niyetler de olabilir ve çocukları bu kötü niyetin içine çekebilirler konusu vardı. Bu konuda sizin önerilerinizi ve sizin görüşlerinizi rica ediyorum.
Such a great question. You know, at the International Children and Media Conference in Stockholm, Sweden last year, I gave a keynote address. I said, it's like two sides of the same coin, protection and empowerment. They are not separate. We are responsible for, as parents and as teachers, for protecting students and for empowering them. With my own children, I adopted the 3, 6, 9, 12 rule. No screen media at all under age 3. None. No TV, no mobile, no tablet, no screen media under age 3. For me, as a parent, no screen media before age 3 worked. 6, supervised media use, parent monitoring choices, parent shaping choices. Because how do children learn to make good choices? They get feedback and interaction from teachers and parents. So supervised choices at age 6, age 9, no unsupervised internet use. Age 12, children have to learn to do unsupervised internet use. This guideline is reflecting of my own values as a parent. I think it's important to realize different families and different teachers we come to different conclusions. I have a friend whose baby is using the mobile, right, to play games and apps. This parent believes that's the best choice. So I want to be respectful of the fact that different parents will make different choices. I think every family needs to sort that out for themselves, but it's good to think about how developmentally children need more supervision when they are younger and more opportunities for choice as they get older. So 3, 6, 9, 12 helps us think about how we supervise and monitor children's media use. Thank you for that good question.
Thank you.
İyi akşamlar. Benim sorum şu, dijital medya, internet, bilgisayar ve benzeri araçlar eğitim ortamlarına hızlı girmekle beraber Çocukların öğrenmeye ve okula karşı motivasyonunu artırıcı ölçümlenmiş bir araştırma var mı? Öğretmenler bu konularda ne düşünüyorlar?
You know, the research is complicated. Motivation and engagement is increased. That is demonstrated by the evidence, and many of you in the room notice, right? You bring in the tablet and, oh, the kids are so excited. Now, we have 50 years of educational research that helps us understand that this may be a novelty effect. When I began teaching in 1985, and I wheeled in the TV cart with the VHS tapes to show a documentary, the children would cheer. They were so happy. They have not been cheering for the last 20 years. You know, it's a novelty effect, right? You experience excitement and motivation when the technology is new, but then when it becomes ordinary, it becomes ordinary. So I think we are still trying to discover whether there's some inherent value to digital media as a learning tool. And we won't know maybe for another 20 years. But my belief in the role of digital media in the classroom is based on this idea of connecting the classroom to the culture, preparing students for the world they live in. I don't know if you remember what happened in the 11th century in Italy, in the university system as it was established over 1,000 years ago. 1,000 years ago at the university, the professor would read from the manuscript that had been handwritten from the previous generation. And then, as books became available to students, and students could have the book in their hand, they revolted. They critiqued their professors, and they said, why are you continuing to read aloud to us? We can read the book ourselves. And they insisted that the university system change. So I think this idea that school must be relevant to the world we inhabit and must make use of the tools of communication technology that are outside the walls of the classroom. This, to me, is the primary motive for implementing digital and media literacy into the school. Connect the classroom to the culture. Here's a question.
Dijital okumaların %23'ünün okuma, gerçek okuma olduğunu söylemiştiniz. Peki medya okuryazarlığı eğitimcileri bunun daha anlamlı olması için neler yapıyor? Yani %23'ün anlamlı okuma olması için ya da %23'ün üzerine çıkması için neler yapıyor?
So important. Every single one of you is challenged, I am sure, with the problem that digital media has brought us called cut and paste culture. Raise your hand if your student has cut and pasted from the internet and put it into a document and handed it into you. Raise your hand if this has happened to you. Of course. So, we must teach those fundamental practices of reading. Summarizing, paraphrasing, and direct quotation. These are the fundamental skills at the heart of reading comprehension and writing, and we must reinforce them at every level. Even with digital media. When you go to a website, write me a 2-sentence summary, right? Paraphrase the main idea. Find a meaningful direct quotation from the website, from a movie, from an ad, right? From a piece of music, from an ad, from a newspaper article, from a magazine piece. These skills, summarizing, paraphrasing, and direct quotation, they are powerful. And they help eliminate the cut and paste culture that enables students to think they are composing by lifting Lifting is not composing. Composing is filtering it through your own mind and your own imagination, and we must address that issue in a very direct way as educators, else we are disserving our students. We are disserving them if we don't correct this problem the minute we see it. Another question.
Tabii şimdi öğrencilerimizi bulundukları çağa göre değil de yaşayacakları çağa göre yetiştirmemiz gerektiğini bilinci içerisinde çocukları bu medya okuryazarlığından uzak tutmanın bazı yöntemleriyle de biz çalışmalar yapıyoruz. Eve ödev vermiyoruz biz. Sizin söylediğiniz gibi çocukların okul içerisinde yapacakları çalışmaları okul içerisinde yapıyoruz. Performans, proje tarzı ödevleri okulda birlikte yapıyoruz. Onların düşünmelerini sağlıyoruz. Akıllı tahta kullanıyoruz. Akıllı tahtalarda da biz sürekli her yıl kendimizi yeniliyoruz. Öğretmenler dikkatlerini öğrencilerin çektiği, onların meraklarını uyandırdığı, eleştirel düşünceli bakış açılarını geliştirmek için çalışmalar yaptığı sürece. Yani burada biraz öğretmene iş düşüyor. Öğretmen kendisini yenilerse, öğrencinin merakını uyandırmaya devam eder, onu araştırmaya yöneltirse bu medya okuryazarlığında da biraz daha uzak tutmuş olur diye düşünüyorum. Katkı yapmak için söyledim. Sorum yok. Teşekkür ediyorum sizin de verdiğiniz değerli bilgilere.
I think I am very glad that you are making this point. I believe that teachers have enormous creativity that is waiting to be unleashed. In fact, it turns out that teachers know best how to support their students through the learning process. If teachers feel their hands are tied, they can't make choices on behalf of their students, they are stuck doing the exam prep or the curriculum as written by some bureaucrat, then I believe that weakens our professional integrity as educators. Teachers are creative, imaginative authors ourselves. Curriculum is a set of choices that we make to help students learn, and the more creative you are as a teacher, the more students benefit. And that is your point. I think media and digital literacy only invites teachers to bring in the full panoply of objects, not just the printed word, not just the textbook, not just the mandated curriculum, but the artifacts that connect the classroom to the real world to prepare students for managing and thriving in that environment. So thank you for sharing that good point.
Hello. Maybe not a question, but I want to hear your ideas. You put empowerment and protection to the both sides of coin, but I prefer to put participation versus protection. And with the skills of digital media literacy and, let's say, maybe critical thinking, what's your point of view through the children rights side and through children participation perspective? I just want to hear your ideas. Thank you.
So the word participation is complicated, because another way of thinking about participation is to use. To use is to participate. So I think participation is absolutely central. I think, from my point of view as a parent and as a teacher, at different stages of the child's development, participation is more or less appropriate. So in adolescence and young adulthood, participation is absolutely central, because I am preparing students for the world outside the classroom. And to do that responsibly, I should build in opportunities for participating socially, politically. But for younger children, I think the idea of participation is more complicated. I prefer to think about the role of learning collaboration with the younger students. That really learning to listen, learning to share, learning to take turns, learning to demonstrate respect, learning to be courageous. These skills of collaboration are a form of participation that get us ready for the more public forms of action that we take when children and young people get older? Thank you for that good question.
Son soruyu alalım.
Dijital medyada şu anda bir geçiş süreci yaşıyor tüm dünya. İşte kütüphanelerde kitaplar dijitale çevriliyor ama bu bir geçiş süreci. O sıkıntıyı biz de, öğrencilerimizle aramızda şöyle yaşıyoruz. Çocuk mesajı sesli harflerin hiçbirini kullanmadan çok kısa yazabilmek, zamanı iyi kullanabilmek adına sessiz harflerle yazıyor. Bunu ödevini de yansıtıyor ve onun dil gelişimini olumsuz bir şekilde baltalıyor. Bu geçiş sürecinde sıkıntılarımız var. Bu çocukla öğretmenin arasında bir çatışmaya, aile ile çocuk arasında bir takım çatışmalara neden oluyor. Bu çatışma sürecini ve geçiş sürecini olumlu ve sağlıklı nasıl geçiririz? Bu konudaki önerilerinizi rica ediyorum.
Such a great question. Such a really great question. So these 5 big theoretical ideas that represent theories from education and media studies and cultural studies and anthropology over maybe 30 years, this one speaks directly to your point. What is appropriate in a text message is not appropriate in an email. What is appropriate in an email is not appropriate in a piece of formal academic writing. What is appropriate in a poem is not appropriate in a narrative story. What is appropriate in a science lab report is not appropriate, right, for a child's drawing. The idea that if we deeply understand how different messages use different codes and conventions, we teach children about genre, and they understand different genre have different requirements and expectations, then it's okay to use a shorthand when you are texting, but not okay to use that in an email. I think children understand that concept and can really thrive when realizing that what we're talking about is cognitive flexibility. Adapt your message to your context, your purpose, and your audience. That's the way of success as a skillful communicator. Now I must let them go, right? But I want to leave you with my contact information. I am hoping to learn more about how Turkish educators embrace digital and media literacy. You will, I hope, sign up to follow me on Twitter, and I may follow you. Here is my email and my website. I hope you check out my website. Remember, it is, let's get that S back in there. It is Media Education Lab.com. See if I get that right. Woo. Thank you so much for inviting me to participate. I really enjoyed it.
Çok teşekkürler.